welcome back to the second episode of our Transactions podcast. And we'll be talking all things transactions from credit control, AP, treasury. And today I'm joined by the brilliant Stewart Griffiths, who is AP manager at BPL. And I'll hand over to you to properly introduce yourself.
Thanks, Rob. Yes, everyone. I'm Stewart Griffiths. I'm the AP manager or payments manager. We call ourselves here at BPL. BPL, we are a pharmaceutical company. We make products for people with rare blood diseases, and we use blood plasma to help produce our products and support people to help them live sort of normal and active lives, and with people with rare diseases, like I said before. So it's we help people sort of live normal and natural lives. I've been with BPL now just over 6 years. And yeah, I think it's been a great journey so far. Really enjoyed my time here, and having worked in previous industries before, I think it's pharmaceuticals is definitely one that's interested me very much.
Perfect. And I suppose for you, how did you get into AP? How did you get to the role that you're in now?
If I told you, Rob, that I didn't want to get into AP. I think that's the what, but yeah, it's a weird journey. So I started off in AR, so the collection side of things, having worked for some well-known brands, Newcomb Garden Soup, Green and Black Chocolate. I started off sort of collecting, doing the credit control side of things, and then progressing up into sort of the AR manager role, and looking after the team, the order to cash, the collections, and that was all great fun, dealing with the big supermarkets and stuff like that, and collecting the money. And I thought I was really helping the business, and of course they say cash is king. So for me, I was the king because I was collecting all the cash. So
Yeah.
I was keeping the business afloat. But obviously, as I grew older, I realized that there are many sort of facets to the world of finance that help a business succeed. So I was just a winning the cog. But how did I get into AP? So whilst I was working for Green and Black Chocolate, I was asked, by my FC if I wanted to join AP and help develop that, and having maybe done such a good job in AR, as I would say, give myself a pat on the back. They said, these things in AP you can do, and I was just like, I don't want to work in AP. I said, and the main reason was because when I looked over at AP, I just saw piles and piles of invoices and stuff being filed into folders. I knew payment runs were horrendous, and I was just like, that looks a lot of hard work over there. Not alone, all the issues and maybe that come across with those, invoice queries and that sort of stuff. But I just saw lots of paper, slow, laborious. Why would I want to jump into that? But another challenge me, so hence me jumping into AP, and really sort of that was my first delve into it, and I think I made some changes there, and as I've gone on, I've had roles as AR and AP for a fashion retailer that I was working for, and again, and I suppose that's led me to where I am today, really, having sort of progressed and managed those sort of transactional roles, those are the things that really kept me interested, and they say variety is the spice of life, and I think AP definitely has a lot of variety, and there's a lot of avenues you can go down, which I'm sure we'll cover.
Yeah, perfect. And I suppose for you and sort of for people that are just starting out in the world of AP, what's a typical sort of journey starting from entry-level AP to getting to AP manager, and what qualifications are there?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think, yes, you join a company as an AP analyst, but I wouldn't say clerk anymore, because I think analyst is a bit more, I think the role has moved, but we'll talk more about it. But I think as you join a company in an AP world, I think you need to think about, understand the process. So what's the process, how we do things? And I think as you sort of go on your journey, it's like, okay, well, I need to become more inquisitive, and I think you need to become more aware of the process, and you need to understand what impacting your process. I think that's the a bit of sort of analysis, sort of critical analysis as to what's impacting us. Why is this not working? Why does this keep falling over? And I think as you gain a better understanding of your business processes, because the process in one company is not going to be the same as another. The fundamental
Yeah,
outcome is always going to be the same to a point in terms of we're going to pay the supplier, but that journey of getting that invoice paid is very in different businesses. And I think that's what interests me about AP, because you either you react to the business's process or you try and make an impact as to change that business processes because it's not working right. And I think that's the exciting piece. So as you go into AP, you understand what the current process is. You look at it, you understand what impacts that process. I think you need to look at outside and try and make sure that you ask the right questions. I think in AP you need to be inquisitive. You need to be inquisitive as to,
yeah,
oh, what's this and why is that, and ask all those sort of pertinent questions, and then obviously you'll develop in terms of, well, there's a reporting piece. I think as you go up the
yeah,
up ladder sort of thing, there's a piece around analysis, around data, around how do we understand where it's going wrong. Usually in AP you have this feeling as to, oh, I've got a feeling as to, oh, it's going wrong over there. But again, you need to back up that information, and then as you get higher up, you get to sort of team leader, as you're managing your team, you're managing your workload, you're hearing the frustrations that are happening within your business, and that's been passed up the chain to it's being passed up the chain to your sort of to your management team as well, sort of to your boss. So from that point of view, you're saying to your boss, there's a problem here, and then as a manager, you need to sort of then push that up to the business, to the leadership team, and then
yeah,
make that bigger decision as to where the problems are. So yeah, so I think for
yeah.
me, your journey is from understanding to, I suppose, to analyzing, to then making that bigger changes as you grow into leadership, I suppose.
Yeah, perfect. And I suppose, what can people do if they are joining AP and their ambition is to become an AP manager? What can they do to help accelerate their journey? Are there any particular courses they can do?
Well, yeah, I think the world of AP has changed. I think I think it was always viewed as a back office function. Again, I go back to the days of my last like that. Those heaps of paper, and I think in today's world of AP, I think we are very much involved in the heart of the business. And I think in terms of developing yourself from an educational point of view, the AP Association it's been around for about seven. I think it's in its seventh year now, and I think they give us the platform to educate, to prove that we're doing a good job, and they offer courses, and you can develop through there. There's technician courses, there's team leader stuff, there's manager courses, and then from there you can from there you can then prove to the world that you are good at what you do, and I think whereas everybody else sort of back in the day when I started out, it was all about AAT and it's about CMA or ACCA. You had to go onto this financial accounting route, and I never wanted to
Yeah,
be an accountant. That sort of stigma of, well, you work in finance, you must be boring, sort of thing. And I was just like, oh no, that's not me. Please, no, I don't want to be labelled with that. But respect to the guys that have done CMA and ACCA and gone on to be accountants. That's a path they wanted to take. But for me, I was really more wanted to sort of be at the coal face. And I think AP today is about being at that coal face and getting involved in the weeds and getting involved in the day to day, and rather than sort of looking at the end result. I think
yeah,
AP can greatly impact it. And I think from an educational point of view, the AP Association, make sure it gives you that platform now, and I've been a member I was a member actually when it started. So I went to one of their first conferences, and I think for me, the way there's a community, the AP world, there's lots of forums and lots of stuff on LinkedIn that they do, and sort of the educational stuff and the resources on a website. That is an amazing thing that we never had before. So I
yeah,
think getting educated in AP today is much easier, and I think there's a clear path. I think
yeah,
that was never there before.
yeah, definitely. And I suppose, in sort of your own words, why is AP such a important function within the smooth running of a business?
I think, you know, I would say sort of, without upsetting anybody, I'll say we're like sort of the backbone of a business. And we see everything. Yeah. We all, you know, a business runs on obviously cash.
Yeah.
And so that before sort of cash is king, and then it runs on its liabilities, and it needs to understand what it owes and when it owes it. And so from my point of view, you know, the faster we can get that information into the system, the better. The faster we can process those invoices and deal with the queries, the better position we're going to be from a financial aspect in terms of knowing, you know, what we got to pay, when we got to pay it, and being clear and being sort of, I suppose, in some respects, financially strong and secure in terms of we've captured everything. We know we capture everything. There's no surprises. And then let's talk about, you know, how we pay our suppliers, and talk about what, you know, when we're going to pay them, and when those invoices are due. So I think, you know, without being able to capture your liabilities, talking from a finance management accounting point of view, you know, you'll never know, you know, without knowing how much you owe, you can never be in that confident position as to, well, okay, when I've got to pay people, and who, when, and why, sort of thing. And I think from that point of view, you know, budgetary management, you know, AP gets involved in the P2P process, which is obviously purchase orders and purchase order management and receipting, and then that process of getting invoices paid is a, you know, can be complicated in some businesses, and it can be quite simple in others. So again, you know, but making sure we, you know, first of all, getting the information into the system, I think, is the biggest thing. Again, name your liabilities. I think that's why I think it's important to know where we are today. Definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, for you guys, obviously, you're the front line when it comes to speaking to suppliers, aren't you? If you guys are sort of doing your jobs right, and obviously keeping within payment terms, and there's a good chance that you might get more favourable terms.
Well, I said backbone sort of thing, you know, and you talk about sort of, yeah, we're not on hold, you know, we're a pharmaceutical company. We make critical drugs for people. We can't afford to be put on hold with our suppliers for non-payment, for invoices we've missed, for queries that are delinquent and not being managed properly. So, you know, we can't afford to do that. So yeah, an efficient sort of AP function is, you know, in AP sort of thing, you can touch on sort of no news is good news. You know, you know, you get no rumblings from the business about suppliers and about performance and payment, then that's all good, you know, because we're doing our job. But the thing about AP is that we rely on other people. We rely on everybody else apart from our own department to do stuff. So we are impacted by what the business does, what people in the business do. And I think for us, you know, that's, I suppose, the biggest frustration, because sometimes people just don't do it right, or don't do it in a timely manner, or, you know, are focusing on other things. You know, we're all busy people, but again, trying to, I suppose, change the mindset of a business is a big thing. And, you know, and I think that's what sort of AP managers to sort of today are getting involved in, you know, trying to change that mindset a little bit, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose for you, what are some of the biggest challenges that are facing the AP sort of community at the moment, whether that be internally or sort of external factors?
I think some of the challenges from an internal point of view would always be that education bit, you know, I touched on before about people doing things in a timely manner and in the right way. You know, that best practice in AP, you know, that is what we aspire to do. You know, that's the utopia. And I think for us, you know, making sure that people do what we need them to do when they should be doing it, that's the hardest, that's the hardest thing. And I think, you know, this is where, you know, AP from old to today, you know, from old it was just processing invoices, but today I think it's more about the whole business partnering, the making people know, one, who you are, and B, what you do, and maybe see what we need from you, you know, because for us, you know, it's really important for businesses to understand what we need from you, because you know, some people just don't know, you know, depending on, you know, depending on, I suppose, the induction of people into businesses and understanding, you know, getting access to systems and depending on how your process is run, you know, certain people need to do certain things. And one of the things is, do they know that they should be doing this, you know, and if they don't know they should be doing it, then it's down to to tell them. And then, and then once you've got that sort of process ingrained, and then it's a case of monitoring and that performance review, and how are you doing, and how can we improve, and again, how do we do this, and at least sort of people saying, oh, let me come to, oh, I don't know about this, how do I raise a purchase order for this type of spend, or I've got a query with this invoice, who should I talk to? Somebody sent me an invoice, where should I even send it?
Yeah.
People should know, I've had stories where people sort of received invoices, like, you're getting this invoice from this business, but I don't know what to do with them. What's the email for AP? I don't even know who AP are, and so again, that whole thing around, well, if you get an invoice, you need to send it to this email address and you forward it here or something, so again, it's just making sure that people know who to speak to. I think the challenges are around, for me, are the old AP was around just processing invoice. The new AP is around actually getting out into the business and education and continuous improvement, I suppose. And I think with technology today, there's so many opportunities. I think an AP manager or an AP team, anybody, looking at sort of the technology out there today. So it's like, you could be spinning, where'd you start? Everything looks like, it's like a brand new shiny car, you've got everything you need. But I think it's sort of, I suppose, you need to sort of use some sort of, think about what it is, what's important to you, what's important to your business. And I suppose, once the business understands, why you might need that technology, then it's easy. Getting that buy-in is always a thing for new technology, because you've got to spend money. And I would say AP is one of the most underspent areas in any business. But again, as soon as business leaders sort of start realizing that, what's our, think about what's your AP function like? And if you spoke to your AP manager tomorrow, what would he say about that function? And I think that's where the benefits are, because when you start talking to people, you think, oh, I never knew that, or you start sort of getting enlightened, and then it's like, oh, do you know the state of your AP function? I think that's one of the big things today, isn't it, for definitely for leaders. And if you do know the state of your AP function, what is it good? Does it need improvement? There's always room for improvement. And I suppose, is it about throwing money at it? Not all the time. It's not all about money. Some of the biggest changes I've made in my business is just around changing the process, looking at your existing technology. I think you should always, if you're going to if you're having problems, you should always look at your technology. Are you utilizing it to the best of your ability? And then from there, if you tweaked it as much as you can, and then you've gone on to the next thing, okay, we need technology for X reason. I think that's one of the best things. You need to start looking at your own systems internally, and then from there you can start saying, well, okay, yes, I've tweaked it as much as I can, I'm getting as much out of it, but I'm still missing this element that we need, and that can only be given by an outside piece of technology. And so sometimes you just need to, you need that investment. So it's interesting, but again, everybody's looking at it from a different point of view, and it's a case of, everybody should value their AP function 100%, and everybody should be looking at how they review, how it should be reviewed, and how they, how they and what's the roadmap as well. Every AP manager should have a roadmap to the future in terms of, where we should be, or where you want to be. Again, I suppose improvement is challenging. It's a long road, but again, you should always be thinking about, well, this is what I really would like, and this is why I think we should be aiming for this. And and so from my point of view, I think it's really important to have a vision for your AP function.
Yeah, and you sort of touched upon it there. In terms of the future of AP with sort of technology, what does that look like? Are we looking more at sort of automation and AI coming in? Would that then in turn reduce the need for as many AP clerks within a business, and do they lead more onto business partners, like you were sort of saying earlier?
Oh, yeah, I think technology is around improving the AP from an efficiency point of view. I think, there's so many tasks that can be done more efficiently, and technology today, from I've seen stuff where it can answer emails for you using the whole AI piece around responding to people. Yes, I'm chasing when's my invoice going to be paid, or have you received my invoice, or can you give me an update on the status of my invoice? Okay, these portals, there's all sorts of stuff, but just from email, people system messaging back an email. Automation is always going to be here to stay, and you can automate so many sort of, the invoice automation piece is always going to, that's a fundamental piece. And I think every AP manager should be looking to automate their invoice processing, because if you can move that part of it, because that's got to be the biggest chunk of the time spent in any business. So if you can move away from that, then it's a case of, well, what's the value add? Where can you utilize that time? Am I going to get rid of somebody? No, you're not. You need to look at that. You need to look at, well, what are the tasks that we are not doing? Can I upskill that person to do that task? Can I move that person to look at something else? Again, you might want to automate statement reconciliations. I think statement reconciliations are a fundamental piece that maybe of AP that gets overlooked. I can't highlight that enough. You need to do we need to do our statement reconciliation. But again, it unlocks so much stuff, because it's again, it unlocks so much stuff. Forensic software that's out there. Just making sure if you are using manual inputs, you can use it for checking your inputs, checking changes to bank details. The safety net. We are the gatekeepers of that bank account. And if we make a mistake, it could be costly to us. I think and so again, making sure your processes are right around how you update bank details or check supplier bank details, how you onboard your suppliers, how much involvement you're in there. I think technology can help in so many ways. So I always say, let's start with the simple stuff first, right? So if you can automate your invoice processing, automate maybe statement reconciliations, then you can go, okay, well, now we can start looking. Now we've automated all that stuff, where else can we put people in other places to look at other pieces? Because there's always stuff within a business that doesn't quite get the attention it needs, and you think, oh, I'll get around to that, I'll have a look at that, and you always go, oh yeah, it's always in the back of your mind. So there's always things that can be done. So, but getting rid of people is using technology to reduce headcount, I think should be a no. To be fair, I think I think it's about upskilling. It's about looking at other areas, looking at other things within the finance function, within AP. So yeah, I think nothing's fully exhausted where you need to get rid of people. I think, but that's my opinion.
Perfect. And I suppose looking back over the last few years, sort of pre and post COVID, have you noticed any ways of working within the team, or any sort of particular tasks that you guys do that have changed slightly before and after COVID, whether that be sort of speaking to suppliers and how you would get a hold of them?
Yeah, I think most businesses did use COVID as a pivot point to onboard technology, use technology more. I think from our point of view, we used Teams a lot to create groups to be able to communicate faster and better, rather than having multiple phone conversations or Teams calls with people. We could easily put it in the chat and sort of manage the conversation that way, because we were all working on the same sort of issues. So we created lots of groups for different people for different things, and that for us that worked well. I know a lot of people who did automate over the period, because it was a must. It was amazing amount of people. There was nobody there to pick up the post. So again, you go back to suppliers to say, well, we can't process your invoices if you continue to post them to us. That again, we should have been a fundamental piece that maybe people were working on before, but actually, suppliers knew that they had to start emailing. Luckily, we didn't have that. Paper wasn't a massive issue for us, because we were already pushing that drive to stop paper. And so, but again, I know businesses who were always working on paper and scanning and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think for us, I think the Teams piece was great for us, and then we had our ERP is a great sort of system where we can utilize that, and we done some tweaks as well. So in terms of how we process stuff and how we got things approved. So again, over COVID, we just looked inward, I suppose, and we didn't have to go out and spend tens of thousands of pounds to make things continue to work. But I know people that did, and again, but my argument would be, why did it take something such such an such a major incident?
Yeah.
Why weren't we? Why did we not push that earlier, or why could we not got there without a COVID outbreak? So
Yeah.
again, I think if anything, you can use the argument that people have already moved to other technologies, and I think if you're having problems convincing your business to move to other technologies, look around. Who are your competitors? What are they doing? I think within the AP world, we all talk to each other, and that's one of the great things about me, about the AP Association, about the AP community. We do talk to each other, and it's just like, oh, what are you doing? And what are you doing? And what are you doing? And so from that point of view, there's no hiding. You're thinking, oh, and so the sharing of information and is great, and you just think, well, they're doing it. Oh, we can use something like that, and the conversations start, and then sort of the proposals are put to the leadership teams of bosses, and those conversations are being had. So,
Yeah.
that's great for us. Yeah.
Good.
So we are moving forward. I think AP, I talked about it earlier, continuous improvement.
Yeah.
It is an ongoing, either the challenges around your business changing, or what your process in your business, the industry, could be legislation. Again, you just need to understand, how what do I need to do to keep up with all this, and if it is and it doesn't, like I said before, it doesn't always have to be money. It's just all about just thinking about your process and changing it. But again, technology helps, and but technology helps from an efficiency point of view, and then people can go on and do other things. So
Yeah. Perfect. And I suppose for you, sort of looking back on your career, or for somebody who's just starting out in AP, have you got any sort of top tips or advice for either your younger self or someone just starting out in AP to be successful, or anything you perhaps would have done differently?
I think a younger me, I would say, ask lots of questions, be inquisitive, try and get involved, try to be shown other stuff from people around you. Again, either in your team, in your bosses, put yourself forward for stuff. Get out of your comfort zone. I think the earlier you can get out of your comfort zone, the more I think the more opportunities will just sort of come in your lap. I think in AP you can, if you show willing, show that spirit to that inquisitiveness, that I want to, that I want to move forward. I think that's, people do recognize that and see that, and think, oh, okay, maybe we can use them for this, or maybe we can use them for that. Opportunities do arise. So I just think, for a younger me would be, obviously learn, be inquisitive, ask those questions, and try and learn from others, your peers, your managers, and to just keep an open mind, and try and just keep growing, and keep trying to learn as much as you can, really. And obviously, and if you're educationally minded as well, from an external point of view, I sound like a bit of a dad now, going to my dad mode. Education is key. But it is. It is. If you educate yourself to a level, now there's AP qualifications. Ask to go on those courses. Ask to, because once you've got it, nobody can take it away. And I think, and I think for me, just showing that, I think people will invest in you if they can see that you're investing in yourself.
Definitely.
So I think that's a great takeaway. So think about how you are at work, and think about your future, and think about how you're going to get there. But again, try and be as hungry as you can, and ask lots of questions, and get involved. Put your hand up. I'll do it.
Perfect. That's great advice, to be fair, for people starting out. And I mean, we've seen it countless times, people that we've placed in junior AP roles who have gone in with that attitude, and it's amazing that within a year, 18 months, you're suddenly seen as one of the more senior team members, and it just comes from that passion and desire.
I think you see it in people. Obviously I've interviewed people in the past, and I people are coming in at entry level, and I just think, there's something about them. Obviously they have a CV, they've done some bits and pieces, but I think you can, just by talking to people, you can tell you know, I suppose the desire or their hunger, or you can see something in them. You know,
Yeah.
I've had stories where people have come from very, very diverse backgrounds, but gone on to work in AP and then AR and management accounting. And I know one guy who's now an FC. So, you know, who came through me, and you know, and that's a great story. But again, you know, you just got to show, you've got to be willing to do it. And I think there's no easy path. You know, it all takes
Yeah.
hard work. You know, it does. You know, there is no easy path to success. It all takes hard work. You know, regardless what Instagram says or whatever. You know, you need to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
be inquisitive, be hungry, trying to learn from others, 100%.
Yeah.
And educate
Perfect.
yourself. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Completely agree with everything you said there. And I thank you very much for your time today. It was great talking to you, and some great tips for people to take away on sort of your views, your advice for people starting out, and sort of where you see things going. So yeah, really, really appreciate it. And how can people reach out to you if they've got any questions?
I'm on LinkedIn, Stewart Griffiths, so Stewart EW. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I think I love to hear anybody who wants to have a conversation with me. I'd love to help the community. So yeah, to reach out, send me a message.
Perfect, amazing. Yeah, definitely go and connect with Stuart as well. He puts a lot of helpful and thought-provoking things on LinkedIn as well, all to do with AP. So definitely go and connect with him and get in his messages.
Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for your time today.